Today, we're diving back into the world of Reddit with another cautionary tale for women about why it is unwise to invest your time and energy into building something with a boyfriend when you have no real legal protection. Because, spoiler alert, answering his emails and running his life admin is not just being a good, supportive girlfriend, it's actually being an unpaid personal assistant or secretary, and really, at the end of the day, you have nothing to show for it if the relationship should end. So let's read the story together and let me explain to you why I have seen women fall into this trap many times and what you should be doing instead. But first, if you're new here, my name is Tanya and I'm a family lawyer and mediator. And on this channel, I like to discuss all things related to relationships, from dating to divorce. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell, give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you want to work with me, my professional details will be linked below. Now, I've said it before, but the reason why I will pick out certain Reddit stories to share is not because I necessarily think that they're true, and I accept that some of them may be complete fabrications, but the stories that I pick out often reflect very real situations that I have seen play out in practice. So, with that being said, let's dive into this story from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. This person writes, "Am I the jerk for refusing to be my boyfriend's unpaid customer service rep for his side hustle? I, 28 female, work full-time in an actually pretty stressful admin job. My boyfriend, Dan, 30M, started a side hustle last year refurbishing old game consoles and selling them online. I was super supportive in the beginning. I helped him set up his shop page, took some of the original photos, proofread his listings, all that stuff. It was fun at first. Fast forward to now, and he is doing pretty well. Not quit your job well, but enough orders that our living room constantly has bubble wrap, snow, and controller cables everywhere. The problem is that as his orders grew, he just kind of quietly assigned me all of the people-related work because, quote, you're better with words, unquote. At first, it was just, hey babe, can you check this message? English is not their first language and I don't understand what they want. Then it turned into, can you reply to this guy? I'm in the middle of fixing something. Now my reality is that after my own 9 to 5, I come home, open my laptop, and answer complete strangers demanding discounts, tracking numbers, and tech support because Dan gets anxious and shuts down whenever someone is mad at him in writing. It got really bad 2 weeks ago when one order arrived late because of the shipping company. The buyer sent this essay calling the console a scam and threatening a chargeback. While I'm in the middle of cooking, Dan comes in shoving his phone in my face. Please fix it. I can't deal with it. I told him I would help after dinner. He literally stood in the kitchen reading the messages out loud and panicking until I finally turned the stove off, sat down, and wrote this very calm, professional reply. Attached screenshots from the tracking site, offered a small partial refund, the whole customer service package. The dude calmed down and even left a nice review in the end. Dan then joked, see, this is why you are my little secretary, kissed my forehead, and went back to his workshop. I laughed in the moment, but later it sat weird. I realized I was spending like 45 minutes to an hour most evenings just answering questions for his store, on top of occasionally packing boxes when he was behind. I brought it up last weekend and suggested that if he wanted me to keep doing that level of work, maybe we should treat it like an actual job. Not full salary or anything, but a small cut of the profits, or at least a clear limit, like I will do 1 round of messages a day and that is it. He got offended and said I was acting like some corporate robot that, quote, partners just help each other, unquote, and that I was putting a price on kindness. I reminded him that when I stay late at my own job, he complains that we never see each other, but then expects me to clock in for his shop for free. He said that answering messages is not, quote, real work, unquote, because I am just sitting there and I type fast anyway. That comment pissed me off a lot more than I expected. So this week, I tested a boundary. I told him ahead of time that I was going to have a crazy few days and would not be checking his shop messages at all. I even wrote him a little template he could copy and paste for common questions. Predictably, on day 2, he came into the bedroom with those puppy eyes and handed me the phone. I said gently, no, I told you I am off customer service duty this week. He got snappy and said I was letting his business fail, that I know he is bad with words, and that if I actually believed in him, I would help instead of watching him struggle. I answered that I do believe in him, which is exactly why he needs to learn this part too, because customer service is part of running a business, and he can't just dump the boring bits on whoever he dates. We ended up in a full argument and he slept on the couch. The next morning, he sent me a long text from the living room about how hurt he is and how I made him feel small when all he wanted was support. I replied that I love him, I am proud of his hustle, and I am still happy to occasionally help, but I am not his free employee, and I am done being treated like one. Now he is giving me cold shoulder energy and making little comments like, don't worry, I will handle it myself. Wouldn't want to send you an invoice for emotional labor. My best friend says I should stand my ground because this will only get worse if the shop grows. His sister thinks I was harsh and that it's just a few messages, why make it a big deal? So Reddit, am I the jerk for refusing to keep doing unpaid customer service for my boyfriend side business, even though I technically can do it faster and better than him? Let me tell you, it was very hard to bite my tongue when reading that, but there are a few things that I want to highlight. The first thing to say is this is something that I see commonly play out in this sort of situation, and it is very often the woman playing the supporting role. Now that doesn't mean that it can't happen the other way around, and my advice in this situation would apply equally regardless of gender, but I just wanted to highlight that because I kind of think, and I don't want to sound mean, but I kind of think men don't need to hear this because they already know. And again, I'm not criticizing, but in my experience and observation, they don't tend to do things that have no benefit to them. Like if they're going to do anything, they're always doing it with a view of like, what's in it for me? And if they're doing something, it's because they have decided that there is something in it for them. And again, not a criticism. I actually think that women could probably learn a little bit from that mentality. It is far more likely for women to act out of kindness and love and support and want to sort of be there for their partner, be their cheerleader, their little like helper, if you know what I mean. And that dynamic is much more common than the other way around. So just keep that in mind. But as I said, it would apply equally regardless of the genders of the party. In this case, it's a woman supporting a man. So that is why I'm framing the discussion in that way. So the first problem that I see here is obviously that as boyfriend-girlfriend, the legal situation in terms of the business and the entitlements to any profits or interest in the business is unclear. And this will very much depend on where you are in the world, the jurisdiction that you live under, and how the law treats these sort of domestic partnerships. In some states, there are basically no legal interests, and in other states, they recognize something called common law marriage. In Australia, we have de facto relationships. But in all cases where you have this sort of like marriage-like relationship, where there are legal interests, despite the fact that the parties were not married, often you have to prove the relationship. And there are certain hurdles or certain requirements that go along with that. And so I want to explain the reason why I often in my comment discuss marriage and the importance of marriage in terms of the legal benefits or protections that it can bestow is not because the same legal benefits. It's because when you don't have that certificate, you have an extra legal hurdle. You have to prove that you were in that type of relationship. And again, this will vary depending on where you live. And so if it is the intention of the parties to have a marriage-like relationship, it seems nonsensical to me that they would not just get married in order to solidify that relationship and also to give them an opportunity to set out what the rules, let's say, would be or what the expectations are. And I did a previous video on the importance of getting a prenup, and you can watch that if you haven't seen it already. But that is one of the benefits where both parties are coming at the relationship with the same intention, what I would call consensus ad idem, which is like a legal term that we use in contracts. It means that you're on the same page. And that is really beneficial if you're going to be investing any time, any money, any energy into building something with a partner. Because even in jurisdictions like Australia, I have seen cases very similar to this, where the man is trying to dispute that they ever had a de facto relationship, and where the woman was trying to claim that they did because they lived together and they were a couple and yada yada yada. And she has done a lot of work to support the man in growing his business, business or his work or whatever it is, and now is not being able to get any sort of recourse for that work that she put in. And oftentimes what I have seen happen is that the woman gives up the claim because, one, there's probably not a lot of money in it, or certainly not enough to have a whole sort of case. And second, it's doubly hard because they weren't married, because he's disputing that they had a relationship or a de facto relationship, one that rose to the level of a marriage-like relationship in the first place. And even if her case is strong, let's say even if it is a slam dunk, it is still time and money to litigate, to get to the point where you can have a hearing to get the court to agree that yes, you were in a de facto relationship. And that is then only the first hurdle that you then have to go through, and then the second is to then have the whole argument about how much you would be entitled to. And that first hurdle wouldn't exist if you just had a marriage certificate, because it would be automatic. It's like you're married. There's nothing to dispute. You can't dispute it. And that is why I talk about the importance of marriage, and this is one of those examples of why I don't love when people just live together, because this sort of situation tends to happen. You tend to be supporting each other and pouring in time and money and energy into something that you might then have to walk away from with no compensation. And that is also another reason why I often caution women against getting involved seriously with men who say that they don't believe in marriage, because often those men have a very selfish mentality. It's very much, I don't believe in marriage because divorce is too risky, because it could cost me money. But at the same time, they will be very much like the boyfriend in this story, expecting to live together because they want the companionship and the intimacy, and also leaning on their partner for support, whether it's actual labor like in this story, or even just emotional support. And that sounds bad, but there was an article that I read recently about how men often don't have a lot of very close relationships in their life that they feel are emotionally supportive, and most of the time their female partner is the only emotionally supportive relationship that they will have. And so essentially they will lean on her for all of their emotional needs. Whereas women have a bigger circle of people that they can lean on, that they can go to, that they can vent to when they have a bad day, that they can, you know what I mean, unload on. And what happens is when you're the only person that another person has in terms of that emotional support, it can be very exhausting and very draining. As somebody who deals with other people's problems every day and has to sit and listen to them, unload onto me, I can tell you that it's not always easy to process other people's emotions. But because I'm a professional, I charge them, I maintain some boundaries, and also I can get support myself to help sort of unpack some of that. I call it like trauma by proxy. But when you're in an intimate partner relationship, you don't really have that. And I don't think that some people realize just how heavy it can be to carry another person's emotional load solely. So as you can see in the story here, this woman is investing a significant amount of her time and also her skills into this business that this man is building. Now, he tries to spin it like, well, that's what partners do to each other, but they're not truly in partnership because, as far as we can tell from the context of the story, she doesn't receive any benefit from the business. She doesn't receive a share of the profits. And when she suggested that if she was going to be a supportive partner in that way, that she should receive a share of the profits, he immediately emotionally manipulates and gaslights her into questioning whether that is reasonable, and hence coming to Reddit to see what people think. But this is the mentality that I'm talking about, and this is just a perfect example of the stereotype of the man who doesn't believe in marriage, because it's all well and good to be partners when he needs support, but as soon as it comes time to share any of the profit, he has a problem. Then, she's being unreasonable. And yet, if she didn't do this work for him, he would either have to find the time to do it himself, which clearly he is struggling with, also be able to manage doing the work properly himself, because if you don't have good customer service, your business will very likely fail. And he even says that, like, her not being willing to do the work is essentially making his business fail. Or he would have to outsource it and pay someone to do it. And yet he's not willing to recognize the importance of the work that she is providing, the importance evidence of the support that she is helping him with, and yet he is totally unwilling to share anything with her, this person that he should theoretically love and be building a life with, and yet nothing. He does not care about her. As soon as it will cost him a single solitary dime, he doesn't care about her. And he goes on to emotionally manipulate her by giving her the cold shoulder, by being passive aggressive, by withholding his love and affection. So essentially his love and affection seems very conditional on what she will give to him, what she will do for him. To me, it very much reads like he's only in this relationship for the benefits that he receives. He's not in it to work as a team. And again, that is so very typical of the type of mentality that I see with men who say they don't believe in marriage. It's very selfish. It's very me. It's very, what do I want? What can I get? What can I extract out of a relationship that will benefit me? But as soon as it's like, oh, you're being asked to share because this person supported you, because they helped you set up your business, because they contributed, they worked in your business and never got paid, as soon as you have to compensate them for that, suddenly it's like, oh, marriage is the problem. I don't think marriage is the problem. Now, I want to read one comment that really stood out to me, because of course a lot of people were saying, as I am saying, that this is totally unreasonable, that she's working the business, Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this comment came from a man, so let's have a look at it. He says, my wife helps a lot with my business and isn't an employee. She hands out business cards, checks online reviews, tells people about what I do, shares stuff on social media, and has even sat with me handing out promotional items at a local event to let people know I'm here. We share a personal bank account. My financial success is our financial success. I won't read the rest of the comment, but I just wanted to highlight that part because, see, this is totally in contrast to the poster's boyfriend, because one, he married this woman, right? So right away, he is wanting to share his life with her, and then also is highlighting how his personal financial success is their shared financial success. And he is giving credit to his wife for all that she does in the business. And that is why he views it as a team effort. And that is a much healthier approach. And really the only approach, in my opinion, that can ever work in a partnership. And so to sum up, I think the takeaway lesson here is for women not to get so seriously involved with a man who isn't prepared to marry them. B, invest time, energy, and money into helping a boyfriend build a business or build up his career or do all of that. And stop being his personal assistant and his secretary. And because I see it happen all the time, the number of women who have come to me saying, you know, my boyfriend basically didn't have a job and I wrote his resume for him and I helped him apply for jobs and I helped him prepare for interviews and I encouraged him to go for roles that he would have never thought of. And I helped him dress and prepare and this, that, and the other. And then when he got this job, I listened to him as he complained about all of the stress and all of his coworkers, and I gave him emotional support and I gave him tips about how to deal with conflicts with other people. And in the end, he's credited absolutely zero to me and resents the fact that he or I should have any kind of financial settlement. And that's why you hear content creators like Shira7 say, not to be Barbara the Builder, not to build a man, because you do that and I promise you, under a situation where you have no legal protection and no sort of clear legal interest in what is being built, you are very likely going to be left with nothing in the end, because he will then take everything that you've helped him build and he will go and find someone else to be with. And as I said, the same applies the other way around. I'm certainly not saying that men should do that for women, but they already don't. So like I said at the beginning, I feel like they don't really need a little tidbit of advice because they're already not doing it. So it's fine. We're good. We're cool. All of this is to say that I hope women stop investing so much of their time supporting a man building a business and instead consider building your own business. Have your own side hustle. If you're going to be spending, hours after work doing more work, you might as well get the benefit of it. And you can only have real partnership when legally everything that you are building is to be shared between you and not just belonging to one of you. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you liked it, maybe check out this video over here and hopefully I will see you there. Bye for now.